everybody? It's your boy Brickhouse here on a Monday. God, it's December already. December 4th. Well, yesterday we had our college football Final Four announced, with number 1 being Michigan, number 2 being Washington, number 3 Texas, and number 4 Alabama. Now, I, like many others, have a problem with this Final Four. And the problem that I have with it is that you have an undefeated Florida State. Granted, they play in the ACC, being passed over for a one-loss Alabama team because they play in the SEC, and the SEC is the most powerful conference in college football. We can't have an SEC team not in the Final Four. Well, that's just not all. What the folks, well, except for one Booger McFarland, over at ESPN continued to push and push and push and push. And I'm talking about Reese Davis, Joey Galloway, Kirk Herbstreit, and I think it was Greg McElroy was the fourth person on the panel during the selection show yesterday. They all basically were carrying Alabama's water and the SEC's water by saying that Alabama's not the same team that it was when it lost to Texas in September. And Florida State's not the same team that it is without its star quarterback, Jordan Travis, who's hurt and done for the season. And so we have to have, we can't have Florida State in there because that quarterback injury matters. And that's what the playoff committee has to take into account, is that Florida State's not the same team without Jordan Travis. And so they can't be number 4 and Alabama needs to be number 4. Well, I, like many others, call BS to that argument. Now, getting back to Booger McFarland. He was the only one on the panel yesterday that was against Alabama being in and Florida State out. In fact, he said that it's a travesty to the sport that Alabama's in. And his point is spot on. We go out there on the field and we play the game. Regardless of whether we win with offense or defense, the name of the game is to win. And he's not wrong. And later in the discussion, he was saying that, hey, the committee chose the best matchups, not the most deserving teams, while Joey Galloway, sitting there right next to him, laughed and was being condescending to McFarland, saying that his argument was nonsense. And then Reese Davis had to pile on. And they were both defending the committee and downplaying that anything went into the decision other than the selection process. And Booger McFarland said the obvious. The college football playoff rankings are about picking teams to play in some of the biggest TV shows of the year. These games are made for TV. ESPN has a vested interest in making sure it gets the matchups that draws the most eyeballs. Now, a few people on social media, the first one being Tim Brando, who, he's seen a thing or two in his time covering college football and college hoops. Booger's the only guy speaking truth here, and yet the SEC is a factor. Galloway admonishing his fellow panelists for implying that may be the case. To say influencing doesn't take place here is burying your head in the sand. FSU football, those kids just got screwed, but it's okay. This is over an awful announcing. One team has the loss, and that's Alabama. One team doesn't, in Florida State. This is from awful announcing. Booger McFarland is not happy that Alabama got into the college football playoff over an undefeated Florida State team. To me, this is a travesty of the sport. One team has a loss, and that's Alabama. One doesn't in Florida State. And here we have it. Committee Chair Boo Corrigan explained that the injury to Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis was a deciding factor in the decision. What you just did there, Boo, is you made playing the games irrelevant. You did. You made playing the games irrelevant. So I'm going to take a page out of Clay Travis's book, which Clay Travis, he was fine up to a point on his Outkick the Show, where he also picked Alabama over Florida State. I don't agree with Clay's assessment. I don't agree with the ESPN's assessment. I don't agree with Fox Sports' assessment from the so-called professionals. Clay had said on his Outkick the Show that, you know what, if you want to take the best four teams, then it's going to be Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. There's your top four best teams. Now, social media was not kind, especially David Hookstead over at Outkick. Leaving out 13-0 Florida State is insane. Absolutely indefensible. The committee should be arrested. A certain bad dude was treated more fairly than how the committee treated Florida State, and he took it in the face. Outkick Reader says Ron DeSantis should send in the troops after Florida State was left off the playoff. These are the takes college football fans crave. The committee basically said that Florida State's first 10 games don't count. What a joke. The college football committee to Florida State. I have a feeling I know what that's going to be. Yep, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's all a sham. Florida State absolutely hosed. They have at least 2 first-round picks, talent all over the field, goes undefeated and still on the outside looking in. 2-0 versus the SEC teams this season. Both those wins were on the road, as a matter of fact. 2014 Buckeyes got in with a third-string quarterback. FSU should have been in. That's from David Pollack. Remember, David Pollack used to work for ESPN. The committee, after Florida State goes undefeated and wins their conference.
Get him the hell out of here. Get him out of here. Get
out. Now, Kirk Herbstreit, he was the one carrying the most water for Alabama. And he was on the selection show discussing his feeling on Alabama receiving the final spot over Florida State. Saying the committee did a great job. I think the committee evaluated with what they saw. You have to look at their last 2 games without their heart and soul Jordan Travis. Take him about is as big as taking any player in the country out. Got to give Alabama the nod. I think the committee did a great job. I tip my cap to all. Well, Kirk. You're not right. There was an old tweet, Kirk Herbstreit, back in 2014. And he was talking about Florida State. In that tweet, he stated that as long as the 2014 Florida State team went out, they would be worthy of a top 4 spot. Why such sensitivity from FSU fans? If you went out, you'll be in the top 4 regardless. Who cares who's 1 or 2? Goal is to finish in top 4. The 2014 Florida State team did indeed end up in the top 4 in the rankings, but the same did not apply for the Seminoles this season, even though they also never lost a game. Now, to add the piece de resistance, the athletic director of Florida State went scorched earth. The consequences of getting into a narrative of the moment are destructive, far-reaching, and permanent. Not just for Florida State, but for college football as a whole. The argument of whether a team is the most deserving or best is a false equivalence. It renders the season up to yesterday irrelevant and significantly damages the legitimacy of the college football playoff. 2023 Florida State Seminoles are the epitome of a total team. To eliminate them from a chance to compete for a national championship is an unwarranted injustice that shows complete disregard and disrespect for their performance and accomplishments. It is unforgivable. Mike Norvell, Florida State coach, also went off. I'm disgusted and infuriated with the committee's decision today to have what was earned on the field taken away because a small group of people decided they knew better than the results of the games. What is the point of playing games? Do you tell players it's okay to quit if someone goes down? Do you not play a senior on senior day for fear of injury? Where is the motivation to schedule challenging non-conference games? We are not only an undefeated P5 conference champion, but we also played 2 P5 non-conference games away from home and won both of them. I don't understand how we're supposed to think that this is acceptable way to evaluate a team. And they're not wrong. Those that are carrying the water for Alabama were saying, well, Alabama's not the same team that it was in September when it got beat by Texas at home. They're using the same argument for Florida State. Florida State's not the same team it was with Jordan Travis as quarterback. So, there you have it. Your final 4: Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama. Florida State, get out of here. Comment down below. Share your thoughts, share your opinions. Tell me what you think. While you're at it, please take the time to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And with that, I will see you guys later.